Hey guys, welcome back. So now we're jumping back into Banner of War with part 4. And man, this Hulk versus Thor fight is definitely not like any matchup between these two that we've ever seen. Because the raw power that they have now, and yes, it's nuts. So let's get into it. But first, if you're new to the channel, be sure to subscribe to catch the spills every week. And don't forget to hit that bell up top so we can squad up in the comments for the first hour. Alright, so like we'd seen in the previous issue, with Tony and Thor coming after the Hulk in an attempt to take him back to Earth for what happened in El Paso, and really on Thor's end, him trying to end the Hulk, with him believing that the Hulk has passed the threshold of redemption. But either way, with them coming here, this ended badly, with Hulk shooting lasers from his eyes and then going mega nuclear, letting off a blast of 3,000 gamma bombs, of which Tony only survived because he was in the celestial mech Hulkbuster, because otherwise, had he been outside of the suit, he would have been turned into dust just drifting through the spaceways. But like we'd seen for Thor, on the other hand, with him being a god, 3,000 gamma bombs for him was more or less the equivalent to 1 gamma bomb for Banner. But there's also a bit more to it that we'll talk about in a little while, with it turning Thor into the Smash God of Thunder, with the gamma lightning and everything, just looking extra metal. But when he emerges from this dust and comes after Tony's celestial armor jumps back in, to where again, like we've seen, it has its celestial self-healing protocols, which are what kicked in again here to allow it to step in and save Tony's life. But even still, with it stepping in, Thor is breaking this thing down faster than it can put itself together. And as quick as this armor jumped up, Thor put it right back down, to where then Thor continues to go after Tony, but in this moment, Tony escapes death for the 3rd time in a row, when the Hulk steps in and punches Thor pretty much through a mountain. But when this happens, we also get a second to where Tony's looking at the Hulk and he's asking, like, is he talking to Bruce? But Hulk is just like, no Bruce, because once again, your Savage Hulk is at the wheel. But this moment doesn't last too long before Thor comes back and Hulk tells Tony to run, but Tony doesn't even get a chance to run too far before the impact just tosses him to the side. And from here for a good minute, all we see is just Thor laying into the Hulk, hit after hit, just pounding him into the ground. But then it's from here where we jump back over to the mindscape of Banner, to where, like we'd seen before, Odin has again made his way in, and when he shows up, he tells Banner that he's turned Thor into a Hulk and that Thor's out there killing him. And Odin lets Banner know, like, this is the part where you get up and you help me beat some sense back into him. And Banner agrees, but also this goes along with where Banner is right now, because before, a majority of the time when it comes to the Hulk, Banner's just been along for the ride, until more recent years where we've seen them both cooperate together, or all cooperate in some instances. But after the conclusion of Al Ewing's Immortal Hulk, when it seemed like Banner had finally found a harmony between himself and all the different identities, after all that progress, the incident in El Paso, this took Banner 10 steps back after recently taking 2 steps forward, which is why he converted his physical body into the Starship Hulk, locking your Savage Hulk away in the engine room, because recently for Banner, harmony wasn't enough, working with the Hulks wasn't enough. And in El Paso, when he got a taste of utter helplessness, this took him back to a place that he hadn't been in a long time, and it did it in a much worse way than what we're used to seeing with Banner just hulking out. So when we see Banner here accepting Odin's help, he's trying to get back to the control center, and he tells Odin to do so that he has a big favor to ask. But on the outside with Thor and Hulk just going at it, Tony's trying to land communications back to Avengers HQ in order to get an evac, backup, or something, and I'm pretty sure he wants that evac more than anything else, and I don't blame him. But with him trying to reach out to the other Avengers, no one responds. But instead, what he gets is Sif responding through Thor's Ravens, to where then she opens the Bifrost and gets Tony out of there. And when this happens, initially, like Tony, he's relieved because he didn't want to be there in that. But then when Sif tells Tony that next she is bringing Thor to Asgard, and then right then Tony's kind of like, I don't think you want to do that. Like, have you seen this guy? But in response, Sif lets Tony know, like, of course she has. She sees everything. And she tells Tony she understands that Thor needs to be stopped and that he's lost. But if anyone's going to stop him or find a solution, then it's going to be his people, and it's going to happen here on Asgard. But when Sif opens the Bifrost on hulked out Thor, he resists. And I gotta tell you, I've never seen this happen before. And with Sif trying to pull him in, she's trying, her nose is bleeding, and then finally, boom, the Bifrost just shatters. And it's like, man, like, okay, we've seen the Bifrost broken before, but man, not like this. Because the Smash God just said nope, and he stood 10 toes down, resisting the Bifrost and shattering the Rainbow Bridge. But also with this happening, Sif can't believe what she's seeing, and she's seen a lot. So for a moment, while the Rainbow Bridge is crumbling, she's just standing there, and she says, Thor, I failed you. And with seeing this, it kind of reminds me of a moment in the beginning of God of Hammers, when at the time Thor had more or less told her that if you can't see what I need you to see or carry out what your job calls for you to do, does this mean that I need to relieve you of your sword? And I just imagine that in this moment, for Sif, some of this is running back through her mind. And I mean, fortunately Tony was there to pull her back, because otherwise she was just gonna stand there and end up like Loki from the first Thor film or something. But for Sif, with the Bifrost destroyed, in this moment she takes this as a huge failure. And I mean, it's not like another Bifrost can't be built, either by Thor when he goes back to normal, or even by Tony, who could probably pick up the pieces and make something out of it. But for Sif, this hits her in a huge way, and I'm curious to see where this goes next for her. But from here, when we jump back into Banner's mindscape, we see that Odin's even like, man, like Thor's lost it. And when Banner tries to tell Odin that that's not quite the case, and Banner has a plan on how to stop him, and right away Odin's like no, because he doesn't want to help Banner to continue to lose even more of his mind, and Odin makes a suggestion that they subdue Thor. But then it's here where Banner cuts off Odin. He tells him that this is not Thor, but instead this is the Titan Hulk from inside of Banner possessing Thor. And really, this is something that Odin is partially aware of, because in the previous issue we had seen that Odin had got part of the story when he saw what happened in El Paso, when the Titan Hulk possessed all of the people in that bar and infected them with its rage, which again is like an amplified symptom of what we'd seen happen throughout Al Ewing's Immortal Hulk. So it's not like Donny Cates is just completely pulling this one out of the blue. But even like we see in the previous issue, Thor issue 25, which was Banner of War Part 2, just before Odin was pulled out of Banner's mind, through the course of that, Odin had went into Banner's mind already being aware that there was another mysterious factor that was at play. And just before Odin had been pulled out by Thor, Banner was getting ready to tell him, which is why at the time Odin was trying to get back into Banner's mind. But it really isn't until now where Odin's getting the rest of that information, as far as who or what it is that Banner's dealing with. But it's here where Banner tells Odin that if he goes toe-to-toe with Thor out there, as the Hulk, like if this continues, then the Titan Hulk will come back out. And when that happens, it's over. Everything. Because earlier, when Odin told Banner that Thor's out there killing them, it just shows that Odin doesn't realize that the Immortal Hulk doesn't quite work like that. And it's like now with the addition of the Titan Hulk, it's not even going to get to that point. And so it's here where Banner tells Odin, now that he's filled in, that he gets back to the favor that Banner was asking about. And it's right here where we then see the hammer returning to Thor, only to then break his hand and pass right by him. And at this point, we then find that Banner is back in the captain's chair with Odin along beside him, and it's right here where we find what was the plan, or what was the favor that Banner had asked of Odin. Because it's here now with Banner back in control that he catches the hammer, strikes it on the ground, and he is transformed into the immortal God of Thunder Hulk. I don't know what to call it, but it looks so good. And when this happens, like a couple things are going on here, because for one, with Banner back at the wheel, this presumably puts off the appearance of the Titan Hulk. And not just with Banner back in control, but with him back in control and Odin at his side. But then also on the outside, in addition, there's the case of this evening the playing field a little bit, with Thor being possessed and getting the Hulk's power, and now the Hulk also getting the power of Thor, which now gives us your hulked out Thor versus your Thored out Hulk. Did I say it right? But you guys get what I mean. Thor with a Hulk upgrade versus Hulk with a Thor upgrade. But man, like with this being the case, the power that these two have individually, it's already nuts. And when the both of them throw their first hit and they clash for the first time, that first blow destroys this planet, which is just ridiculous. Like, this is insane. And seeing this has me thinking a couple things. Like, for one, whenever Tony sees this, he's just gonna be extra glad that he got out of here. But also, on top of that, it has me thinking, like, where are these two guys gonna fight? Like, are they just gonna be jumping off pieces of this planet, or what? Because the amount of power that both of these guys have in this moment, it is just ridiculous. But even still, I'm ready to see where this goes, because also I'm curious to see how these versions of each of them actually fight. And so now real quick, I want to give a special shout out to all the patrons. Thank you guys for all of your support. And for anyone who's new here who wants more information on how to support the channel, I got a link below so we can go to patreon.com/dopespill. But that'll do it for this one, guys. Man, like, Banner of War is getting ridiculous in a good way. And I've seen the remarks from some people saying, like, here we go again with the Hulk versus Thor. And really, all I gotta say for those people is like, hey, get used to it. Because even though this story is drawn to a close, this Hulk versus Thor thing is something that's gonna happen many times over again over the years to come. But also with Banner of War, I've gotta admit that with the way that this story's been crafted, man, that is just so much fun. And at the end of the day, that's one of the things that matters the most. Because if a story's not fun, then what are we doing? because every story can't be super serious all the time, every time. But with that said, that's it for this one, guys. Let me know your thoughts down in the comments below, and we'll do it again in the next one. Alright, later.